growth, this thing is not happening. The no financial oversight board can fix this if we don't get real economic growth. So the nature of the policies that the government implements to stimulate growth is critical here. But nonetheless, in terms of doing a 10-year projection, we assumed just inflation. And we assume just inflation beginning 3 years from now, after the oversight board and the new legislature and government have had an opportunity to implement a pro-growth strategy on the revenue and expense side. So making that assumption about growth, a modest growth in the government's revenues based on modest economic growth over the 10-year period consistent with inflation only, you pick up another $10 billion of revenue just from growth, closing that financing gap of $34 billion to $24 billion. But that's still a huge number. Over 10 years, that's in effect an average deficit of $2.3 billion. That deficit is based on existing debt service. So over that 10-year period, you will be servicing $34 billion, give or take, of principal and interest based on the existing schedule of debt service. So obviously, if you zeroed out debt service, that deficit would disappear. But what this is telling you is that we don't have enough money to pay debt, by far. That based on this projection, with modest growth consistent with inflation, with $20 billion of new revenues, with $14 billion of expense cuts, you still are short of what you need to pay your debts in full.